How you doing, guys? BC90 here with the next video in my Poise showcase series, and like I mentioned in my last video, guys, I've been waiting to do this one. It's revisiting the FUME Ultra Greatsword. Now that Buff the Fug's new data has come out, essentially what we've discussed in my Poise compendium video, which I've linked in the description below, is that not all weapons in their respective weapon classes have the same Poise breakpoints or Poise modifiers, and the FUME for the Ultra class is one of them. So essentially we can min-max our Poise or reduce our Poise here to be able to trade with every weapon in the game, including Greathammers. So we'll go straight into this setup here, guys. We're at soul level 125 and I'm using my standard strength vitality build that I have been using for most of these videos. I've got the FUME Ultra Greatsword +5 here, gets an S scaling in strength and E in dexterity, and look, two-handed at 50 strength, we're hitting for 604 AR. Now it can't be infused, but it can be buffed. So with human pine resin, that goes up to 699 AR, which is good. I mean, I wish it hit a little bit harder for its weight, obviously, but it still hits pretty hard. Essentially, you are going to see this thing hit for 2/3 of your opponent's life bar a lot of the time in one trade, which is awesome. But I do believe that there are other ultra great swords that outperform it in terms of damage, namely being the great sword. So. The FUME Ultra Greatsword. Now, what else have we got here? We've got a Blessed Caestus there as our parrying tool, and also stacks with our other Blessed Caestus there in the second slot in our right hand when we want to play the neutral game, so that's about 5 passive HP regen per tick. I've also got a heavy longsword +9 here that gets an A scaling in strength as my offhand fast weapon. So if we do encounter quick step users in the arena here today, or want to finish people off a little bit easier and deal with those passive reactive fast weapon users a little bit more effectively, the longsword is going to come in handy, guys, because these big weapons obviously are pretty easy to dodge, and if you're having trouble baiting out those trades, you want something in the offhand there to counteract that, essentially, or to reduce that weakness, I should say. I've also got a crossbow here, the Knights Crossbow +10. As you've seen in previous videos, they're quite good against casters. Really, their versatility, I tend to show them off when I can. I really like having crossbows in my setups, so you will get to see that here today, hopefully. And we're almost at full Havels here with the Alva Helm, so as you can see, my Poise is at 46.54. Now, because this Ultra Greatsword, the FUME here, is one of those special Ultras that actually has modified Poise breakpoints, like Buff the Fugs has revealed to us, you actually only need 45.85 base Armourpoise to be able to consecutively hyper armor trade against every single two-handed R1 in the game, again, with every weapon class, including Greathammers. That's as long as you're in those active frames. So essentially here we're at 46.54, so we're well above that 45.85 breakpoint, and we will be able to contest Greathammers at the face tanking their two-handed R1s essentially quite well. So let's see if we get to show that off as well. You never know, but it's pretty awesome, guys, because normally with an Ultra you need to go up to 52 base Poise to be able to tank those Greathammers, but with the FUME, 45.85, and you'll be tanking every weapon class in the game consecutively, which is awesome, guys. Now, in terms of rings, I got the Chloranthy ring +3, Prisoner's Chain, Ring of Favour +3, and the Havels ring +3. So look, I'm not going to go through all the pros and cons of the FUME Ultra Greatsword right now. I'll probably discuss that at the end of the video, so let's go straight into some matches. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Looks like we have a curved greatsword over there, with the Dark Moon Blade buff, obviously. Not a good trade there, man. And yeah, game over. GG. Alrighty, guys, next match. Looks like we have the Greatsword over there with the Blessed Weapon buff. Bang, game over. R2 trade there, that was awesome. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match. Looks like we may have a pyro here with Demon Scar. And it looks like a straight sword in the left hand there. The Dragon Head Shield combo. Oh, he's quick stepping, so we'll use our fast weapon here in our offhand to counter that. Yep, and he's switching up there because he realizes. Good trade. Good trade again. And GG, caught him there with our offhand longsword. The perfect counter to a quick step user, guys, is a fast weapon in the offhand. Remember that. Alrighty guys, here we go. What do we got over there? Is it the... no, it's a great sword. Can't tell which one from here though. Looks like the claymore. Alrighty. Bang! Alrighty, went for the trade there, which went well. Whoop! Switched over to a dagger there. So we'll just use our fast weapon in the offhand here to counter that dagger. Just got to be careful because he's going to go for that parry here and there. And just mistimed it at the end there for us to kill him. GG. Alrighty guys, next match. Looks like it's the Lothric Knight Ultra Great Sword over there. Alright, with a lot of lag. Gotta watch out for that golf swing. Awesome little pancake there. Not often you get to pull that off. Oh, and got him right behind us there with the second R1. Alrighty guys, next match. What do we got there? Is that another... it's a Hodrick cosplay, so it looks like he has the... What's that? Looks like the flamberge. Ooh, big hit. Oh, that was good. Reverse backstep into that R2 is one of my favorite moves. Not that that was a reverse backstep, but a sort of reversed R2. Let's see if we can do that here against him. Whoop! Nope, we missed it there. But it's just a lot of fun to do that, essentially. But anyways, yeah, let's keep fighting. Just space him out there a little bit. Oh, pancake for the win! Oh, that was good. Alrighty guys, next match in the arena. What do we got there? It looks like the Saints bidet. That's right. Haven't seen that one in a while, but from what I hear, it's quite good on a faith build these days, or a cleric. Ooh, nice. Got decent range on it too, actually. Gotta concentrate here. This guy's got some pretty good hit and run tactics. Gotta be on the ball. Gotcha there. It's all about timing, guys. All about timing. Went for that second R1 there for the trade. Ooh. Back up for a bit here. And went for that final trade there for the win. Alrighty guys, next match. Looks like we have a caster. So we'll straight away get our crossbow ready. Watch out for those crystal soul spears. Alrighty, so he's using the homing crystal soul mass there. Get him again with the crossbow. Like you guys saw in my Dragon's Tooth video, crossbows are such a good counter to casters. There we managed to hit him and dodge out of the way of his spell, which was pretty good. See how quick you can be at the crossbow. Ooh, got us there with the homing crystal soul mass. And we're almost there. And we got him there with the crossbow right at the end for a win. GG, man. So yeah, crossbows, guys, very effective against casters. Next up in the arena, guys, what do we got here? Looks like a scythe. Is it Freed's Great Scythe? Looks that way. Okay, he's going to try and use the Caestus Perseverance combo on us. Alright, he switched over to Freed's Great Scythe. And that weapon art is no dramas, guys. We do have the poise to just smash through that. Alrighty, guys, next match. Looks like it's the Yorm's Great Machete. And we're always going to beat him at the trade here, guys, because you know, we're a lot heavily armored, or more heavily armored than he is, I should say, which means we have a lot more poise. And he has very little poise from what I can see there. It looks like it's the Alva armor, so he's not going to be able to contest us at the trade at all. Ooh, almost got him there with the pancake. Oh, he's going for the parry. Doesn't know that you can't parry these heavy weapons unless it's rolling or running R1s. Backstab for the win. What did he do? He gave us a clap? Yeah, good job, man. Straight on to the next match. We have a ringed knight over there. Don't know why I did that. With the Black Knight Greatsword. Ooh, just mistimed that there. Just got him there with that second R1. Pretty useful, that one, actually. It's got a lot of range going behind you. Okay, so he switched over to the, what are those, the Gotthard Twin Swords, it looks like. Yep. Now he switched over to a katana. Waiting for those running R1s there. Ooh, frayed blade, nice. And game over. GG, man. Alrighty guys, next match. Almost too slow there. There come out the Ring Knight paired great swords. Now he's switching to the Drang Twin Spears, which we can easily poise break. Alrighty guys, let's go for one last match here today. Looks like it's this Ring Knight guy again. Nice big attack there. That 2-hit combo, guys. Jesus Christ. It's 2/3 of his life bar gone in one trade. Okay, got hard twin swords again. And we'll just quickly switch to our longsword, guys. Finish the job. GG, man. Alrighty guys, so that brings us to the end of the video here today, revisiting the FUME Ultra Greatsword. So let's discuss the pros and cons to this beast. So essentially, while I've mentioned before that I prefer Ultra Greatsword movesets with diagonal swings as opposed to these overhead R1 swings, for the FUME I found this to be less of an issue because of the weapon's reach. Now, I mean, look at this thing, guys. I mean, this R1 attack here, essentially, you know, opponents were really misjudging how far you can actually hit them from. And the second R1 that actually hits behind you, which I'm normally not a big fan of either, actually because of the weapon's reach, was actually quite effective. So we did see that put to good use in a few matches here where the follow-up R1 was actually smashing people behind us quite well. So there is that. Now, I am a big fan of the R2 poke. Again, because of the weapon's reach, and on top of that you can do the or you can try and combo the rolling R1 poke into the R2 poke as well for devastating damage against less aware opponents or people that are being hyper aggressive. So there is that as well, and it hits for big damage. Now the weapon art stomp here, for me personally, it's the best stomp in the game in my opinion, guys. Mainly again because it capitalizes on the FUME's reach. So essentially you get this step forward and then you get the pancake move coming down. So because of the weapon's reach, when you time this correctly, guys, you can really hit your opponents from a pretty good distance for a lot of damage, and we did get to show that off a couple of times in our video here today as well. So yeah, I do prefer this stomp over the golf swing stomp, for example, and for me personally, it's my favorite stomp of the game. So essentially, guys, here in terms of moveset, you have a pretty good setup with the FUME that takes full advantage of the weapon's reach. You know, well, especially with the two-handed moveset. As for the one-handed moveset, I mean, you get your standard, you know, Ultra Greatsword one-handed moveset. Again, you know, the weapon has a lot of reach, so there is that to its advantage, but I personally prefer just using the two-handed moveset most of the time myself. Now, additionally, guys, another pro to this weapon, if you actually have a look at the guard absorption values of the FUME Ultra Greatsword, you'll see that it's got a pretty decent physical absorption there at 80, and it also has pretty decent elemental absorptions as well there, with decent stability for a weapon at 55. So you can use the FUME as a makeshift shield, you know, in a dicey situation to follow up with a combo, so that is pretty awesome as well. Now finally, like I mentioned at the start of the video, thanks to Buff the Fug's new data, the FUME is one of the special ultras in the game with modified poise modifiers and breakpoints, so it's much easier to optimize with the FUME to let you infinitely tank every two-handed R1 in the game from every weapon class, including Greathammers. So that was 45.85 using the FUME, so essentially once you're above 45.85 you can tank every single two-handed R1 in the game, including from those Greathammers when you're in active frames, poise, whereas normally ultra great swords need to hit 52 armor poise to be able to tank great hammers. So the FUME does have that advantage going for it, that you do get to tank those great hammers using much less poise. Now unfortunately I didn't get to show this off in this video because you don't really find too many great hammer users. Well, I don't find too many of them essentially, but look, I have play tested the shit out of this weapon using these breakpoints, so take my word for it guys, just stay above 45.85 using the FUME and you'll be a trading machine at optimal poise using this particular ultra great sword. Now as for the cons guys, firstly, whilst the FUME does hit hard, and you did see it take close to 2/3 of my opponent's life bars in 1-2 hit trade most of the time, you would think that due to its weight, which is 25.5 units, it would actually hit harder, but it doesn't. Now just to go back to the damage here guys, at 50 strength two-handed we get 604 AR. Now it can't be infused, but it can be buffed, so that goes up to 699 AR, which is good. But just by comparison guys, let's equip now the greatsword here. So just the regular greatsword, which is an ultra greatsword, I have it infused here with a heavy gem. Okay, so this is a heavy gem infused greatsword. At 50 strength two-handed, by comparison, we get 632 AR already. And when we buff this bad boy with human pine resin, that's 727 AR guys. So it's a massive difference, and it's essentially what, 5.5 units lighter than the FUME. So you would think that the FUME would hit harder, obviously because of its weight, but it doesn't. So that's a little bit of a con there, unfortunately. But still, it does hit hard. Don't get me wrong. So unless you're really, pent up about optimal or highest amounts of damage in terms of AR, the FUME isn't a slouch by any means. So don't take that to heart or too seriously, really. Now, I will say that because of the FUME's weight as well, you really need to build around that, since you will need the heavy armor to take advantage of the poise you need using it. But I have to say that since the +3 versions of the Havel's Ring and the Ring of Favor came out in the Ring City, and after the changes to the Prisoner's Chain making that ring a lot more viable, this is less of an issue now guys, especially since you'll be utilizing very high vitality anyway for these poise builds, so it's not much of an issue these days. I mean, look at this setup here guys, I've got a FUME plus 2 caestus, a longsword, a crossbow, heavy armor, and I'm at 69.4 percent of my weight ratio there, so I'm not fat rolling. So it's not as big of an issue as it was in the past, thanks to the +3 rings and the Prisoner's Chain these days. Now, what I will say, guys, this will be my final point actually, it's a bit of a con with any heavy weapons really, is the fact that they're all pretty slow, okay? Because they're big and slow, they have a hard time dealing with hit and run tactics. I have a hard time dealing with players who are really effective with their spacing, and it's even hard using these big weapons finishing people off if they're just running around the arena, just dodging your attacks and baiting out that timer. So I have to say guys, if you're having trouble baiting out those big hits at the trade, and just in general guys, you absolutely need versatility in your build to compete with bad matchups in the meta, okay? Especially against stuff like quick step users as well. So, for example here in this particular setup guys, I've taken the longsword as my fast weapon in the offhand, and we got to see it put to good use in this video against the quick step user, and also for finishing people off when we needed to. And I've also got a Knights Crossbow here as well, which pretty much made a joke of a caster in one of our matches here as well. So we've got a lot of versatility here to deal with different types of threats. We're not just relying on baiting trades the entire time, even though that's our main focus. And I absolutely do encourage you guys to have fast weapons and crossbows in your weapon slots to complement your big heavy weapon, as you can't just rely on it for every single match guys. You are going to get those bad matchups, and using a heavy weapon you are quite vulnerable to pretty much everything I just discussed. So there is that. The FUME is big and heavy, and it's quite slow and easy to dodge, so that's a bit of a con. So you really need to mitigate that weakness somewhat by having these extra weapons in your other weapon slots guys. So look, that's about it. the FUME Ultra Greatsword for me personally is one of my favorite Ultra Greatswords in the game, namely because it looks awesome, it has incredible reach, it still hits really hard despite the fact that you know, it is outclassed by you know, other Ultras like the Greatsword, and it also has my favorite stomp in the game. So for me, it is one of the better Ultra Great Swords for me personally. I absolutely love this thing. So and now especially with the changes to, or the discoveries to the poise breakpoint values, to indicate that, you know, you need less poise with this thing to tank every weapon in the game. This thing is awesome now, guys, absolutely awesome, and I do encourage you guys to give it a try, you know, with this build or a similar build, as you'll have a lot of fun in the arena just pancaking people. Yeah, it's awesome, guys. So that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. You know, if you're enjoying my content, please subscribe, and as always, guys, thank you for watching.